Yeah. So I think Radiance went really well. It's doing exactly what we expected to do, and so I call Radiance our competitive currency. We have a bunch of what I call engagement-based currencies as well, trophy tokens, glory, that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, our plan is to move forward with consolidating those currencies as well. So we're working on that. That's going to be done next year. Our goal is to get all that done before we launch Fortress Assault, which will be amazing, and that's kind of like the final piece in our puzzle, I think. Fortress Assault, it will include Radiance. This engagement-based currency has all sort of in-mode progression, and yeah, I can't wait to build my fortress.
Yes, hello everybody. Welcome to this is kind of like a day one of Summoners Fest kind of recap, but it's more like the last few hours recap. For context, the live stream will go on to 1 a.m. Sunday morning my time, and I'm not going to be staying up for that. So I will be doing whatever the MCOC Evolution coverage is early tomorrow morning when I wake up and watch it. But that first snippet that you've just heard is Kabam Crash saying about consolidation of that currency, which is big news and hopefully will mean that we'll see some just like better things around like too many stores and just like removing the complexity side of things. But what that will really look for the game and the stores in general, I don't know, especially if Radiance would be like the equivalent is, oh, in the Glory store, you buy X amount of tier 4 basic alloy, and instead what you're doing is it being like, I don't know, 1,000 glory, that you'd instead see that kind of put into Radiance, and it's like, okay, well, you can now buy, instead of it being 5 in Radiance, you can now buy 10 in Radiance, and the cost is brought down a lot more because Radiance is everywhere to use and buy, which I don't know how you feel about that one. I'm actually really happy about it. Just remove complexity from this game. Just do it. It's just so much more beneficial. But let's move on with other things that were announced and showcased.
Over the next year, 4 Stellar Forge champions will join your roster with multiple paths to earn their pieces across quests, events, and more. This all kicks off on November 11th when you can grab the first piece of Stellar Forge Star-Lord and launch your quest for the ultimate prize, that 5th Stellar Forge champion, 7-star Stellar Forge Dr. Doom. It's a long journey ahead, Summoners. Buckle up. Things are about to get dazzling.
So I don't know how to feel about this, except for I am actually a little bit excited. I worked really hard in 2024 to get myself all of the Deathless champions. I think anybody that did the same. So I appreciate that. The other thing is like the champions are going to be very different in their classes. I suppose similar to other stuff. There's been other instances in game where you're like, oh, they should be this class, but instead of something else. So Star-Lord is going to be a skill-based champion. And the new version of Dr. Doom, the Stellar Force, because Stellar Forged, these are basically these new champions. These are going to be, hopefully have kits that are different. And you'd assume that, different rotations of kit. But you can see here, like, the champion is going to be, does it say here it's skilled? Anyway, it's a skilled champion. It starts on November 11th, which is nice. That is... When is that? That's in 3 days' time, so it's a Wednesday. And I don't know if this ties into the eggs event or not. We saw there was like an in-game mail, so we're just going to go back to that and I think just kind of like read some coverage from it. So in the in-game mail, they set a bit standards of like what this is going to be, decided to assist champions so you can protect the realm from those who would destroy its resources. Isophene has an influence here and has chosen special gift, blah, 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 Guardians of the Galaxy. And obviously talk about Star-Lord. Starforged champions get more than just an updated look. They gain access to a special fractured power bar, as well as a kit update and a class shift. So again, the stuff that we've seen with Isophene and other champions idols, where they got that kind of like three kind of like bars of kind of how it's situated. You get to choose between like what you want to do, like multiple SB1s being fired, or like an SB2 than an SB1, but like the buttons are kind of like different in the way they're kind of like put together, structured and stuff like that. So that's cool. That's going to be dropping very, very soon. A bit more kind of like context. Actually, I think that's all of the context. It's exciting. I am looking forward to these because it's like, it's not Deathless, but it's kind of like a bit better than Deathless, especially with the champions and kind of the overall structure that Kabam have for it. I don't know whether or not you're going to be interested in it or not. The same thing with the rules. It's like you don't buy these champions. They're like earned in like Everest content. So I don't know if Kabam have got some very spicy or annoying Everest-based content for us. And as we said, a piece might be associated with the egg event. In that moment here, Kabam are actually talking about the egg event in general and kind of like, oh, have you seen the egg and stuff like that. And there was actually a PowerPoint there that just was flashed up for a moment. I wanted to kind of grab it, what they were kind of like talking about. Yeah, it's just going to be fun. It's just going to be like a fun event. Hopefully, it's going to hit the same way that Deathless Champions did, but in a different way. And it starts next week on acquisition and accumulates and complete at the end of 2026. Jumping around a bit, and Kabam Niv went onto the show as well, Champ Daddy, as he's been labeled as, and he said that they're working, or they're at the point of the Magik rework playtesting at the moment and looking to finish off and get it wrapped up. So that's good news. And also they talked about tech. I know some people have found like, oh, this stuff is boring when it comes to like the game, but I found it quite interesting because what Kabam Niv was actually talking about was like things that he was trying to implement when it comes to like triggers, traps, and new things that Kabam are putting into the game. If Kabam have put in stuff like what they put in with the box in with what's it called, High Evolutionary, and as well what they've put in with the showcase, and what the trap was, with the regeneration, that's fun. Do you know what? The more I think about it, the more I'd love to see that regeneration trap in actual game modes a bit more, especially because it just sometimes feels like it's not fun with the current state of the AI. Also, one thing that was quite funny actually, is a member of Kabam mocked the AI. It's like, what is this AI? And I just thought that's hilarious. That made us laugh. And by the way, I did live stream all of this, so hopefully those that were in that live stream, make yourself known in the comments. Appreciate you for being out there for that. We might live stream tomorrow, but it just depends on how the day goes, and also like information, because I do want to do like a big roundup or my big takeaways and things that I thought were quite kind of beneficial from what was announced. So what else did Kabam kind of like reveal and stuff like that? Well, the two big modes, and probably the biggest talking point out of this was two things, really. There was Fortress Assault and Coliseum. Now, we'll go to Coliseum because we've actually seen footage. So first and foremost, here's an 8-minute video. I'll try and kind of just quickly go through a lot of this. This is the Alliance Coliseum. So you can see here, earn the most points that you can for each podium. I think what we'll do is we'll just get the arrow in. Yep, so it says here, well, we should really kind of blow this up so you can actually see it better. There we go. Yeah, so earn the most points that you can for each podium in the event, and take a podium to take a run at the level up of the podium for maximum points. This is basically Kabam kind of like doing this stuff. And whatever the podium is, like who you fight for the podium, of course, will get like a total number of points, which adds up to the greater good of stuff. And of course, here you got the days of it running. And Kabam have said that this is meant to be something that replaces AQ. And I don't know whether or not you have like an AQ raid week, an AQ like 2 weeks, and then an AQ Coliseum. That's something I think a bit more structure needs to be kind of like put in place for this. With, of course, the top milestone here earns X amount of points. Then Challenger there, you can see. It's also further interesting because you're like, well, there must be specific champions you can use for this. Whether you use like Lizard, Dracula, blah, 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 or whatever. And it's like, okay, tag bonuses there. So Kabam have said that like this is going to be a 0 revive use mode. And the health bar mechanic is like a multiple health bar mechanic, which again, we'll kind of like see a bit more in a moment. There's obviously a difficulty level you can choose, yeah? Of like which ones you want to see that's sort of difficult, non-difficult with it. And then from that particular point, you can see details there. I suppose you'll get further details on stuff of like who is the best champion to use, like what's your best run. And of course, like, I don't know if when you say podium, like this is your entry ticket, similar to, what's it called? Yeah, similar to I can't remember what it's called now, raid tickets. And of course, once you do the fight, you can see the multiple power bars right there. You're getting down the power bars as much as possible. Of course, a lot of people are like, oh, yes, Pravita. Yeah, good. He's good at the moment. Wonder if he'll get nerfed. Probably not. Anyway, so it looks like that is prompters of kind of rotation, similar to AQ raids. To be honest, I just felt this looked a bit too much like AQ raids of a mode with a like different kind of twist on stuff. Unless Kabam don't like AQ raid anymore with it. But say the fight has done after say 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever minutes, and then of course you get like a length of you get a certain amount of points after it to then kind of like see what you're using. And there's going to be a solo mode of this at some stage, but you can see on, where is it there? Like, there's new best there. And of course, you're back to the loading splash screen there about kind of like doing some stuff. Yeah. And then you kind of go back in, and it's either you use certain it's either like you load these champions in and you fight that champion there, but you kind of take it on the difficulty curve on choice. Like you have, I don't know, X amount of like, so you choose a podium choice and you've got like what seems to be 8 like chances to kind of go in, or what's this, levels. But yeah, maybe you choose a podium, you then go and fight the challenge. But yeah, more information hopefully will come from that. Maybe if you go to Seatin's video, there may be a bit more kind of like explanation on that. And of course, that's the end of the week. We're looking at like your contribution. Every member's got to contribute a certain amount. So yeah, go and check it out. I'll put a link in the description to this if you're interested in seeing how this functions. So quite annoyingly, there's something that I couldn't find. Like there's a little teaser that's in amongst like the kind of announcement parts. But this is something called Fortress Assault. I can't put anything on the screen because there's nothing to show. It is something that Kabam are working on. They said it in the they're cooking it in the Kabam kitchen. A new mode coming to 2026, which is called Fortress Assault, and this is treated as more as like a PvE solo experience type thing. Oh, there we go. I found some info whilst I kind of like didn't expect it there. So you can see like there's like that on screen. It is in development. It's a competitive PvE mode launching next year. More details to come. But they said on the stream that it was about like an entire roster fighting. You battle each other. You have barracks and you have to plan a resistance and launch an assault. It kind of feels like, you know, those games where you base battlers. I was going to call it base. It's base 2.0. No, but it's not. It's more of a kind of like what seems to be, yeah, you just build like a not tower defense game, but one that's like similar to, I really can't think of the games. There's a zombie game like this. I'm sure there's like a Clash style game like this similar, where you just like, you build a base and you build a barracks and you build it strong, and then you kind of like have people attack it in waves, or like in like a PvP type battling element. Command said it was like PvE, but then talked about it being PvP. So I want to say that no, they didn't. He said it was PvE, but then it's like it could be PvP. It's a new mode coming soon, and they'll announce it. But that's something there with it. It might be tied. I think this is tied to Radiance. I think this is the solo Radiance mode that Kabam were talking about. I think in my notes I've got it down as more Radiance focus mode, but that's that one. Just quickly, there seems to be some sort of like cool, I think this might be a new side quest coming soon, like a like Dazzler Dance Revolution type thing, where you kind of like try and do the markers in. Honestly think it'd be quite cool. I know that like after the dimensional was it dimensional circle or dimensional cycle, like side questing Kabam did, people weren't too happy. I loved that. I really did. More that kind of like, I just thought it was quite cool. The ramp up, the build up, the play style, it's just been different. I think it was cool, but I know and I appreciate that people didn't like it. The same way that I think people might appreciate or not appreciate this version right here, which is basically taking similar what they did for that, but doing a new mode. I just like, I know, I'm up for it. I think it'd be quite cool, quite different and spicy. So yeah, new mode. It looks like how you do it is you kind of like, yeah, it comes in the thing, you click the thing. It's Dance Revolution, Dance Mats, you know, whatever. You've seen them at arcade. It is what it is. Do you want to see this as a side quest, or do you not want to see this as a side quest? Have your say in the comments. And finally, on to 7-star versions of champions. You might be saying to yourself, well, what 7-star versions of champions? Well, we've got Rhino as a 7-star version. There's also 7-star Cosmic Ghost Rider that's been seen. I'll see if I can get some footage of that. If not, I'm going to try and make it so that I can grab loads of footage and put it into a separate video, just to kind of talk about some of these 7 stars in action. Of course, it means that people have to break out some of these champions, but it's certainly cool to see the likes of 7-star Rhino, which appears to be like an option as a 7-star meta as a defender. So maybe you're going to see that as basically something that MCOC, like Kabam, might want to put out as a deal. Maybe they won't. Slow debuffs for the counter, but of course, you know, people are in action playing. You can see right now Liam, who's really good. Like I really enjoyed watching Liam play. Very underrated at times, but really like great tenacity, great fight back, and very enjoyable. Very enjoyable seeing Liam play at the moment with this, especially against Tilapia right here.
I wonder how many people have already gotten. We got rebirth crystals. We've got 7-star 1 to 2 gems, right? We've got Titan crystals. We've got Titan shards. We've got 7-star shards. So make sure that you're watching all the way through. The last item is a Titan crystal for Valiant. It is PRG gated for everyone else, but it is shard worthy.
Now, there's been a lot of things here and there, especially like, you know, Lags had to step in last minute to kind of cover some stuff. Someone wasn't able to kind of like to participate. But all in all, I've really enjoyed what I've seen so far. Enjoyed like it with you as well that came by to the live stream. So yeah, this isn't the full day one because there's still some stuff going on at the moment. And yes, like in about a couple to 3 hours time, there'll be this kind of like MCOC evolution type posting. But I'm not going to be covering that until tomorrow. Just because it's going to get late. You know, it's 10 p.m. UK time now, and I need to kind of like figure out some videos that I want to make. But apart from that, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for supporting. Check out some other content which is located on screen right now, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers, everybody, and goodbye.